showing out, making moves, no doubt. FFA pride, it's what we're all about. From classroom dreams to real world flair, we got the stories you won't find anywhere. Beyond the jacket where the stories unfold, voices of the future, fearless and bold. Tune in now, let the passion ignite. It's more than a jacket, it's a way of life. Beyond the jacket where passion meets purpose.
Welcome back to the Beyond the Jacket podcast. We are so happy you are here listening with us on another Friday. We have some phenomenal guests. Our first episode where a teacher and student join us at the same time. We are sure this will be a blast for you listeners. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Well, my name is Lexi Miller, and I am the ag teacher here in Olney, Illinois.
My name is Savannah Cycle. I am a junior at Richland County High School, where Miss Miller is one of my ag advisors.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining me on today's episode. I know I am pumped up and ready to get into both of your FFA journey and now in the classroom and working through all of the fun things that have led you to the point of where you are in or out of the Blue Jacket. So why don't you both start telling me about how you found FFA or your love for the Blue Jacket?
Well, I'll start if that's okay. I am a multi-generational FFA member, so my grandpa was an FFA, great uncles, cousins, aunts, parents, siblings. It was just kind of destined for me to be in the FFA. My uncle was my ag teacher also, so I just assumed that that's what I needed to do. My siblings were super active. I kind of strived to do better than they did, which I don't know that I did, but it seemed like it pushed me, gave me some motivation and some inspiration. I also grew up on a grain and livestock farm, so agriculture's just always been a part of my story.
That's awesome.
So I grew up in a non-traditional ag background. I live 5 minutes away from our high school, but my cousin was an FFA, and she did conduct of chapter meetings, or novice parley pro at the time, and she was the chairperson. So she was like, Savannah, you should do it. You'd be really good at it. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll go. And I took intro, and then from there it just took off, and I haven't stopped since.
And she is really good at parley pro and conduct, so it worked out. Her cousin was right.
So there you go. Parley Pro was never my strong suit. I did all the LDEs that you can dream of, but I was not very good at debating by any means. I debated for too long. I'm quite the talker. I'm sure you will realize that as we get into your episode a little bit more. Lexi, take us back to a time when you were an FFA member. Do you have a favorite experience from your time in the Blue Jacket, or maybe just a favorite CDE or LDE that you participated in?
Well, I know you said that Parley Pro wasn't your favorite, but it probably was my favorite CDE. I love to argue, but in the most respectful, nice way possible. No, I do think that it builds a lot of confidence, and I loved being on a team. I love team CDEs or LDEs that don't depend just on you. You get to rely on your teammates and your classmates. I'm from a very, very small school, very small community, so we were all really close and tight-knit. That fed into FFA when we got to spend so much time together. I graduated one of 20 students in my entire grade. And Savannah, how many do you have now in your grade?
About 150.
Okay, so I'm teaching at a much larger high school than I ever went to. There were not even 150 people in my high school.
Holy cow!
Yeah, there was maybe 100 on a good year. Very, very small, very rural, and yet so incredibly wonderful. Prepped me to take on the world. I think I had the best teachers, best community support. That played into FFA in general. I remember I was a section president. So in Illinois, we have 25 sections. I was a section president for section 22. Loved that. Got to serve over 900 members in my section, over 20 different schools. And favorite FFA experience was probably FFA Leadership Camp, which is held at the 4-H Memorial Camp in Monticello, Illinois. I got to spend a week showering in the woods and sleeping in air-conditioned cabins and growing so close to everybody in my group. I absolutely loved that, and it's really cool to see students now on the other side as a teacher, getting to send students. Savannah's been to FFA Leadership Camp. I think she can attest to how important it is. I just loved all of FFA.
Absolutely. I kind of got bit by the bug in 7th grade, and that was me. I dove in and never really came back up for air is the way I like to describe that. But I can attest to the summer camps being kind of a place where I kind of found who I was and the type of leader I wanted to be moving forward in the Blue Jacket, and made some of my closest friendships at some of those FFA camps, and definitely skills that have moved forward with me through college and career. Moving on to what you're doing now, though, as a teacher, maybe, I don't know, let's do something fun. Okay. Savannah, why don't you describe Lexi as a teacher?
Well, I personally haven't had the privilege of having her as a teacher yet. I didn't take her class. But from what I have heard from all my friends that have taken her classes is that she's a very great facilitator. She will do, like we were talking in that article, she described herself as more of a facilitator as opposed to a teacher. So she's really good at guiding you through the lessons together, almost as an equal, not like this is I'm telling you, this is we're going to work through it together, which is always great. And her room is full of positivity and love and kindness, which is always so much fun to just walk in here. And her room is like pink, and it's so fun to be here because before our teacher, he was a male. We love Mr. Stever, but it wasn't as pink and fun, so to walk in here and it's just like a ray of sunshine.
Oh, I love that. No, I can definitely agree. My ag teacher, I didn't have her all 4 years because there was different ag teachers for kind of each section you were in our classroom, but by far it was always inviting, and it was a place, you kind of had your home away from home at school, and helped facilitate that relationship that, I don't know, my ag teacher was kind of like my second mom to a point. It wasn't quite teacher-student. It was more a confidant for a lot of different things and different life struggles and things of that nature. What do you hope your students feel when they walk into your classroom, based off what Savannah just said?
Well, I hope that they feel everything that Savannah said. I am really big on kindness and positivity. I think when you allow negative energy in your classroom, not everyone feels welcome, and ag is supposed to be a place where everybody feels loved and special. I have very strict rules, all of the positive language, and if there's not, we do a lot of apologizing, like, oh, I'm sorry, I slipped up, I shouldn't have said that, I didn't mean it. We hug it out sometimes too. There's a lot of hugging it out.
She's a big hugger.
Yeah. The kids too, they're like, okay, you can't say that to somebody. Mainly, I want them to feel love. I do attendance question of the days every day, and those are super fun. Today, the question was, if you invented a gadget, what would it do? Yesterday was, if animals could drive, what animal would be the worst driver? And that's kind of a way that I focus on building rapport in a community. It's something fun that the students get to talk about, and they get to know each other outside of sitting and listening or even participating in classroom activities. I do a lot of hands-on activities, but there's also not as much room to figure out your least favorite smell. Like, that's such a fun fact to know about somebody. I think whenever you build rapport with students, it's much easier for not only classroom behavior, but also just for students to know your expectations on how to treat everybody. And I think you need to model that too. I try to treat everybody incredibly kind.
No, I think that's such an important lesson to learn, even outside of the ag classroom, that kindness goes way farther than bitterness. And at the end of the day, you will never regret being kind. And I think that's such an important lesson and such a valuable one to hold in your classroom, for sure. Lexi, Savannah, as you've gone through your years in FFA, what grade are you in? What are you looking forward to? What's next?
Oh, wow. So I'm a junior this year, so I will have one more year left in the Blue Jacket, which is crazy to think about. Time really does fly by. I can remember being a freshman walking into this classroom for the first time, and now I'm going to be a senior who's looking down, or like not looking down on, but helping those freshmen in their experience, which is so insanely cool that I have the opportunity to do that. I'm looking forward to state convention. That's always such a fun time. We always have a busy time. It's always so fun. Like Lexi said, I went to leadership camp, and I will get to rekindle those relationships from that camp, which will be so much fun. And then we do a FFA week petting zoo every week, and I've been in charge of coordinating that for the past 2 years. So my dogs get to come, and I get to see my little sister. So it's just so much fun to get to benefit that next generation of agriculture.
Absolutely. I want you both to answer this question too. I think it's a super great question that really highlights where the next generation is going, how do you believe FFA is kind of preparing the next generation of ag leaders? I'd love to see this like student-teacher perspective side by side.
Do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, I will start. So the next generation of agriculture is vital to our entire whatever we're going on, right? It's vital to everything. And I have a little sister, she's 7 right now. And to see the excitement that these kids get through the petting zoo we do like a greenhouse experiment with them. It's so much fun for me to see this next generation come through and be excited. And that I was an ever so tiny part of that, you know? In the petting zoo last year, there's one kid that came through and says, I can't wait to be an FFA. And I was almost in tears because I was like, this is so amazing to see a 7-year-old who is so excited about high school and coming into our program. And that's really what we want to do at the end of the day here is we want to make sure that kids are getting opportunities and that they're feeling welcome, that they're excited to be somewhere. And I think that's, vital to our industry to have that next generation for sure.
Absolutely.
From the teacher side, I think the amount of opportunities that we provide students, especially here in Olney and at Richland County High School, we have so many activities almost every single day. There's always an opportunity for students to get involved. And we have a lot of great students like Savannah who push other members to be the best that they can. And they work incredibly hard. You mentioned that your advisor was like your second mom and you were there in the rooms all the time. I couldn't tell you a single day that I'm here and there's not students in my room after school. Sometimes they stay later than I do and they lock up shop. That being said, on the teacher side of it, we see a lot of our students be incredibly successful, especially in our schools. Students who are earning the highest amount of scholarships, students who are going to elite colleges, who are set up and have a lot of networking opportunities, internship opportunities. There are ag kids. They're the students who are in FFA, and they are the ones who are actively involved, who are pushing themselves, competing. Savannah did, and she failed to mention that she's competing in 2 upcoming state contests in the next month. They have advanced from more levels and are competing. Yeah. She is working incredibly hard to even compete at 1 state contest. She's competed at multiple already this year, and she has 2 upcoming. Prime example of how hard our students work, and FFA gave leadership skills. We're actually going to public speaking tomorrow. She's my extemporaneous public speaker, so she advanced from the section level and is advancing to district, and she'll compete tomorrow. That being said, we get to work all the time on how to be better public speakers, how to communicate our points better, and just to be so intentional about what we're saying.
Absolutely. Those soft skills are so important. You don't realize as a student how important those skills are, and then you get into the workforce, college, career, industry, wherever your path leads you, and you're like, holy cow, things I learned are really paying off today. Are you excited for Extemp tomorrow?
Yes, I'm so excited. I love Extemp. Miss Miller and I have been practicing. It's been really busy here in our chapter. We have prom next week. I'm going to Envirothon, which is 2 days next week. So it's been a busy time over here, but I love Extemp. It's so fun.
Absolutely. I did Extemp as well. That was something I was almost voluntold to do. I was a prepared public speaker for years and years and years, and I got really tired and really burnout. Truthfully, it was something that I had a love for, and it kind of died, and I didn't want to speak anymore. And my teacher told me, Paige, if you're going to run for a state officer position, then by God, you need to do extemporaneous public speaking. And I did it, and I fell in love with it, and it became my passion. So I wish you the best of luck tomorrow on that, and all the goodwill. Hopefully you win and move on. Cross our fingers, say our prayers for sure.
That's right.
Lexi, you were a state officer. Mm-hmm. How does that time in the Blue Jacket leading a state association pour into your classroom?
I think number one is probably learning how to work with people, not just how to work with them, but how to love them the best that you can. I was on a state officer team in the midst of COVID, so I was elected in June of 2020. Pandemic hit in March of 2020. So I was elected virtually, served my entire year virtually for the most part. The tail end, we got to get out a little bit, but I served with 4 of my very best friends, an all-female officer team, which I think is really incredible. An important dynamic also. so many of my teammates were so different than I, and in the best ways, because I think on any officer team, you have to have people who have different experiences and different life lessons they've learned, also just different skills. I am not someone who loves to be up in front of people. Even this podcast, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do it. Like, I'll talk with Savannah. She's the best. She wrote this really great article and got a lot of attention because she's just incredible. So anything I can do to support her, I'll do. But I'm a very behind-the-scenes leader. I love facilitation, being there with the students as opposed to in front. That never changed. I had a lot of teammates who love to get up and they love to be the speakers and they love to be the ones to introduce the topics, and I loved that and I supported my teammates in that. And it's so important that we recognize everyone has different skills and abilities, and we're supposed to lean on each other for those. Also, just social emotional skills I think helps with being a teacher so incredibly much. I have students from all walks of life, all difficulties, all successes, and it's so important that I love each of them, but you can't love everyone the same. The way that I treat Savannah and the way that I love Savannah is completely different than the way that I love and support someone else. I think part of that is building that rapport with students, but also being humble enough to know that sometimes I'm wrong and sometimes the way that I treat students isn't what they need the most. And I'm a learner for sure. Love to learn and I love to grow. And I think being humble enough to say that I don't know a lot is good, because it continues to push me to grow and to serve my students better. Probably social emotional skills are the best thing that I learned through being a state officer.
Absolutely. No, I can attest to that. For sure. Those are very important skills, and to be able to kind of know your strengths and your weaknesses and be able to admit when you're wrong. In one of my college classes, actually this past semester, it was the leadership class for our Ag Communications degree program, and we read a book called The H Factor, and it was all about humility and leadership. So anyone who is a reader or likes that kind of thing, I highly encourage reading it. I'm not a reader, and I loved it. So little book recommendation there for you. Savannah, what has FFA helped you discover about yourself?
FFA has helped me immensely. So I have a twin brother, and my whole life I was compared to him a lot. Lots of the time it was, he's better than you, he's smarter than you, and I still get that to this day. But I think through FFA I have found who Savannah is, and I think that has been vital in continuing me for the future. Through this program I was able to be an FFA and the USA reporter, where I was able to write this story about Miss Miller, and I found my love for journalism, and it's just something that I have adored. And my closest friends are in FFA. Miss Miller can attest. Me and my two closest friends were always running around causing mischief, just as the three of us do, but it's been the best time of my life, probably.
I can second that too. Okay, not the Partly Pro person, but that being said, I met my best friend in FFA at an FFA summer camp, so this is kind of a full circle podcast for me,
Yes.
if that makes any sense. Talk to me a little bit about being the FFA reporter across the nation. I know kids that have done it. I never did it personally, was very interested in it. Talk to me about that. Maybe tell our listeners how to get involved.
Yes, it came out last year. This was my first year. I've served for 2 years. So the first year, it was my first year serving as a reporter too. So our chapter president said, hey, this is an opportunity, just apply. So I was like, okay, fill out the application. It's pretty writing intensive, obviously, as you're going to be a writer. They want to see your strengths. So I filled that out, and then about 3 months later, I got the email that said I'd made it, and it was the inaugural year. So there were only 6 people in Illinois, and I was lucky enough to get to know each and every one of them. And a few of them are actually running for state office this year, so I'm excited to cheer them on. But through that program, I've been able to write 14 stories about people doing amazing things in our agricultural space in Illinois. I've gotten to connect with amazing people within my chapter, within the state of Illinois. I've gotten to hear about so many amazing projects, like the Pontiac FFA chapters, Bales of Hope that they did for the hurricane relief in Tennessee. They drove hay bales, which was so much fun to learn about, or students who are running nonprofits up in Section 6. So that was so much fun for me to get to learn about different ways that my state is getting involved and about truly amazing people.
Absolutely. No, I bet that's such an inspiring, little career while you're in high school, and getting to adventure around your state and make those connections on a deeper level. Like you kind of said, you get to cheer on your friends at state convention who you might have never met if it weren't for that opportunity. And FFA is really special in that regard. We're getting to the point where we're about to round out your episode, and I hate that our time is coming to the end, but I want to ask you both, what is a piece of advice you would give to your younger self in the Blue Jacket? So either one of you can go first, totally up to you, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
I'll go first. I had kind of a unique experience. I think it's, at least in Illinois for the most part, it's pretty typical to be your chapter president. Once you get chapter president, you've been a section officer, and then you probably got elected section president, and then maybe you went on and ran for state office. I was never my chapter president. I loved and supported all of the officers in the FFA, and one of my very best friends in the entire world was elected chapter president, and I loved it. I was so supportive. I was never a section officer, but I was elected section president, and then later on elected state president without ever being my chapter president. And I think sometimes we lose sight of the fact that leadership does not have a title. You don't have to be an officer to make a difference and to make everybody feel welcome. That's so incredibly important. Also being humble enough to know that you don't deserve that position. There are tons of opportunities and tons of incredibly successful people all across the state in every single chapter that will do great in that opportunity. Sometimes you have to lose in order to grow, and losing is a weird way to put that because you can gain so much in a missed opportunity. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't try for it, doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive for it, but you should be comfortable wherever you are. God placed me in that position. He put my feet where I needed to be, and I needed to accept that and then make everyone's life around me so incredibly more special, no matter if I had a title or if I didn't have a title. But being humble enough to know that you don't need to be the person with the best title in the room, and you can serve so humbly with absolutely no leadership title and just do what God tells you to do.
Absolutely. I love that. I actually wrote my final paper on just that the other day. Go ahead, Savannah.
Well, as a freshman coming in with the non-traditional ag background, I kind of felt out of place a little bit with all the livestock judging because I wasn't very aware of that, right?
Yeah.
So I would just tell myself to just jump in full force, take the send it, just do everything that you can, because at the end of the day, like Ms. Miller said, losing is growing. And if you're not losing, you're not putting enough effort, because I know last year I lost that district extemp, and hopefully we're going back to win this time. So it's just one of those things that I would tell myself, just step into that uncertainty and use that to fuel you and make you gain experiences, because now I did agronomy at nationals. I would have never done that. Freshman me would have never told myself to do that. And know that your mentors understand and are trying to look out for you. I know Miss Miller and Mr. Kincaid and Mr. Van Dyke, those are our advisors here. They are all looking out for me, and they are all putting my best, they're always thinking best and highly of me. So they would never put me in a situation where I would blatantly fail. Maybe I need to work for it, but they wouldn't put me in a situation that they knew that I couldn't accomplish.
Absolutely. No, growth comes through those failures. When I lost state office, I think I learned more in the following weeks after that rejection, if you will. And I'd like to say, even though it's very cliche, that rejection is a redirection. And I tell you what, that redirection was what I needed. That was what God had planned for me and so many others. And I think that's such an important lesson and something we haven't talked about on the podcast yet. So thank you, ladies, so much for featuring that guest. Thank you for tuning in on another Friday with us and meeting Lexi and Savannah with me. I had a great time, and we hope that you like and subscribe to Beyond the Jacket and continue to listen to our episodes.